Hey, it's Matt Pinfield. It's KLOS New and Approved. I've got Tyler Baker right now from the band Goodbye June joining us. And I love this band. You know, we've been playing them for a few years now. And every time that we play one of their songs, someone reaches out to the radio station and says, "Who is that?" I mean, people, they get new fans every day. And I think it's a great thing. And so I'm here with Tyler. Tyler, it's good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you, Matt. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. You know what I mean? I can't complain about anything. You know, I'm alive. I'm healthy. Rock and roll is in my life. I'm good. You know what I mean? So it's great.
Yeah.
You know, Tyler, the new album is called Deep in the Trouble. It's there's so many great songs on this record, and your songs has been rising up the chart, riding through right now. And it's one of those things again, like you heard me say, that people are still discovering the band all the time. But can we talk about how you guys ended up getting together now? You know, for Landon and Brandon, who are your cousins, I know you guys had played, in a Christian band for a while, and were doing some other things. But were they based out of Georgia for a little while, and then you guys got together? Is that what happened in Tennessee, where you're from?
So what happened is we're all first cousins,
Yeah.
and my Landon. The reason why you say Georgia is because Landon was born in Georgia, but they were evangelist kids, so they moved around a lot. So they lived in Indiana, they lived in Georgia, they lived in West Tennessee. But they claim West Tennessee because that was the biggest chunk of their lives. They lived there about, I think, 6 to 8 years. So I always lived in Southern Indiana. And when we grew up playing music together in church. That's why you said the Christian band thing. We did kind of have a Christian band for like a second when we were real young, and but yeah, and this is a somber story, but I'm proud to tell it. But my brother passed away, who was very close to all of us, and he was in the military. He was home on military leave, and he had a fatal car accident, and in the time of the funeral and the months thereafter, Landon and Brandon spent a lot of time with me. And Brandon even got a job in my hometown, moved from Tennessee to Indiana just to be with my family. And during those months, really how we coped and got through the grief was we played music together.
Yeah.
So me, Landon, and Brandon were writing songs and just having fun. And we didn't know, we'd always wanted to be in a band and we always played in at church and stuff. But those were the beginning days. And that's why we named the band Goodbye June, was because it was after my brother's passing. And that event is what brought us together. And then a couple years later, we all moved to Nashville, Tennessee together to pursue music, in a more serious way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so sorry about losing your brother Shane, man. You know, that's it's those life tragedies, and people that we love mean so much to us. You
Yeah.
know, it's one of those things where I'm glad you had each other to get through that. You know, for that resilience and music, that thing that center thing for all of our lives. And I think that that's just an incredible thing, and that the band was born out of that is a really cool
Yeah.
thing. Um,
Yeah.
and I love that. So you guys, there's a great group of bands right now that you've shared the stage with as well, whether it's Greta Van Fleet or Dirty Honey. You've toured with so many people, and that are really bringing back rock and roll, which is in that way that it's new, it's fresh, but it's got the elements of what was great about rock and roll in the first place. So it's one of those things that it's straight on, and as opposed with having a lot of frills in it. And I think it's a really cool thing. Talk to me about that, and because I know that you have really you've been gaining fans. This momentum keeps going through these 4 albums. You know what I mean? So talk to me
Yeah.
about that. What were those bands, those things that you loved that made you guys want to do that and stay true to your heart when it came to the rock and roll that you played?
Yeah. I mean, I think some very formative. I was brought up on classic rock and blues, and Landon and Brandon were very influenced by. They actually went to in West Tennessee. they went to the same church as Kings of Leon went to, like the Follow boys, and they were all friends and went to the same high school. And so everybody was into music, and there's something about that 60s, 70s rock and roll, the role in rock and roll that is really special. And that's what I think all of us gravitated towards, and we were all influenced by that classic rock. And then for Landon and Brandon to see some of their classmates and friends move away and start a rock and roll band, that was on some level successful. I remember before they had hit in the United States, listening to their early records like Youth and Young Manhood and Aha Shake Heartbreak. I remember us rehearsing in the church and being in the parking lot before, like listening to Kings of Leon, being like, man, that's cool. That's rock and roll right there. And the excitement that we knew somebody that was doing that, and then our previous influences, I think that led us down that road of, playing rock music with swing in it. And just not everything's got to be so perfect, and not everything's got to be, it's the humanness of rock and roll that I think people really gravitate to. And that was just a part of Goodbye June since the beginning, that we've always desired and craved that, and not sought perfection, but rather sought emotion and something that moved you and something that time stamped us as humans. That's always what we've been seeking, and we still seek it right now.
I love that, because I mean that's one of the things that it's those imperfections, those things that aren't perfect but have character, and like you said, swing is a great word for it. Swing and swagger. You know what I mean? The things that make things human. You cannot replicate that with a machine. You can do your best, but there's just something that makes it, in my opinion. I love that. So, and it's certainly, like the Kings of Leon guys, talked to them many times about their love for Thin Lizzy and just a bunch of other rock and roll that we all grew up on and loved in classic rock. So I think that's a great thing. You guys have had comparisons to some of the Southern rock, that, like things like Skynyrd and even AC/DC, the Bon Scott era, which I think are great things to be compared to be honest with you, carrying that torch. Tell me about that side of things. When you guys, it just really came out that way, didn't it? I mean, that's the way with Landon.
Yeah, it's just kind of how Landon sings. Landon's got a couple what I call different voices. He's got his lower singing voice. He's got his higher, more anthemic arena voice, and then he's got this gravel Bon Scott voice, right? These are just kind of tools in his tool belt, right? So he's got a lot of range and a lot of dynamics, and we just try to, as a band, just try to take advantage of that. So he's not always going to be this Bon Scott powerhouse vocalist. Sometimes, especially you can tell on the new record, Deep in the Trouble, like there's some softer songs there's a very heartfelt song called Heart Still in It, where Landon sings a very low, touching register. He's just very intimate. And then there's other songs like Riding Through where we're getting CCR and early AC/DC comparisons. And we love that. We love the range. We love the dynamics of it, because it keeps us interested in our own music. And it's an adventure every time we start to play a new song. We don't know how it's going to turn out. And I think our fans love it. I think our live concerts are to me, they make them very interesting, because you'll have these big Pink Floyd moments, and you'll have these four to the floor rocking AC/DC moments, and then you're going to have these beautiful somber ballads. And I think it's fun. I think it's what we've always wanted, and we could pump everything out and make everything sound like early AC/DC, but I don't think that's interesting to us. I think we find ourselves within all of those influences.
Oh, you absolutely do, and I think it's great, because it's certainly what's really cool about it is the songs. It's just The songs are great, and they're there's so much to grab a hold of there. And the Creedence comparison is a great thing because Fogerty's one of the greatest songwriters, and what a great band they were. So
Yeah,
I
right.
gotta
Yeah, yeah,
say, I still love those records from the time since I was a kid. I mean, they'll always be a part of
yeah,
the American spirit and fabric. You know what I mean, for me, and for I'm
yeah.
sure for you as well, which is great. So it was really cool. Like early on, people started to get really interested in the band, and it was great because, you were getting guys getting a lot of placement, whether it was in professional wrestling or sports like ESPN. Tell me about how that transcended and those things came about.
Well, Goodbye June and live sports and anything with action or energy, for whatever reason, that our music has always just went hand in hand with that. And it wasn't a deliberate effort. It's just, I mean, sometimes the phone rings and you pick it up and it's, uh, HBO Max and they want to give you the trailer for Righteous Gemstones. And it's like, we never seek that stuff out, or like WWE called us and we have a song on our first record called Charge Up the Power, which is just maximum energy. It's like in it, you just our music for whatever reason just goes hand in hand with high energy sports and we've just been very lucky that people in those positions that get to pick the songs, like they just love our band, and we're very grateful for that. And it's funny. We'll be in the studio and we'll just all start bobbing our heads and be like, yeah, like this is just a high energy, like this would probably be on ESPN. It's kind of almost a joke at this point because we've gotten so many placements with those companies, and we're again very grateful. But we've just been lucky, or our music's just been perfect for it, or maybe just a lot of people crave real rock and roll. I don't know, but
I think it's all
we've
the
been on
above,
those.
right? It's
Yeah.
funny.
Well, maybe, man. And I don't want to sound big headed or anything, but there's just not a lot of bands that are doing what we're doing. And you said it wonderfully. It's like you kind of paying homage to big stripped down guitars, no frills, rock and roll, but yet moving it into doing it in a fresh and new way that's honest. And I think I think that's just kind of been our whole goal from the beginning.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's luck. We're very proud that people like you, wonderful people like you, and champions of rock and roll and good rock music are seeing it and helping us promote it and caring. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best. You know what I mean? Because it's what we live for, right? You know what I mean? It's the music. It's the most important thing. And man, when I met you guys at Bourbon and Beyond and Louder Than Life in Kentucky, man, I hit it off with you guys. It was unbelievable because I immediately really liked you guys. I mean, it was and I got to tell you just how people were reacting to your music here on KLOS, which was so cool because and then you guys ended up being the three of the coolest guys. So it was great to hang out with you and then see you play, and you guys crushed it. I gotta say, like it's amazing. I was born in Georgia myself, even though I was raised in the Northeast. But there's something about a story and the things that people go through in their lives, and just having that will because of their love for music and the power of music to carry on through those things and find a way to process those in our lives. And one of my favorite documentaries is the Muscle Shoals one. With Rick Hall and what he
Mm-hmm.
went through
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
losing his father and his brother and his first wife and all the things that he powered through. And in your story, I see those similarities. And recently, you addressed that with the song on the new album, Pile of Bones, because after losing your brother Tyler, losing your dad, and Brandon and Landon losing their uncle, but more importantly, like I know that was your dad. That was an unbelievably tough thing, and I just have to just give you a lot of love and support there for that. And so can we talk about that a little bit, or as much as you're comfortable
Yeah.
to talk about it?
Yeah, man. I'm kind of tearing up. Thank First off, thank you for doing your research and caring and crafting wonderful interview questions, because I gotta say you're one of the best interviewers I've had the opportunity to work with. So you've done your research, and thank you for that. To answer your question, man, yeah, it's been a tough year, dude. It just really has. And for those of you who don't know, and I don't want to go too deep into it because you don't want to see a grown man break down on, you know, on YouTube. But my father was involved in a pretty tragic home explosion, just complete accident. It was a gas leak, and it was a Monday night. He started cooking food for my mom on her way home from work, and he turned the knob to the stove and completely destroyed um, the home. And my father didn't survive, and my mother was pretty much left with nothing. So it's very tragic and very sudden. And so we made we grieved for a long time, and I think part of that grieving process, we had a very close friend that made videos, music videos for us, and he called me, and I had sent him the record, the Deep in the Trouble record, and he had asked if he could make a music video for Pile of Bones, and he said, Tyler, he's like, I know you're going through a lot with your dad. Is there any way we could kind of tie this together? He's like, because that song really resonates with me personally, and I'd like to just make a music video with you for it. And so wildly, I mean, I don't know, like just through an array of emotions and trying to work through grief, we all decided let's go up to the home site where, because it hadn't been cleaned up yet, and there was a debris field and just complete destruction up there. And we decided to make a simple music video where our goal was to try to just sit somebody down next to us and let them grieve with us or feel our grief. And we thought that that piece of art might positively affect the world, that we might maybe a kid in Japan or Hungary or Chile that doesn't even speak English, that's going through something, that maybe discovers the band, and we can just have a real moment, a real human moment together. And there was no acting in that music video. So I don't know. The music video does a really good job of taking you through the emotions and taking you through how we were feeling. And I encourage you to go watch it if you need that in your life. And if not, that's okay too, because it's a pretty heavy watch. But I was just honored that me, Landon, and Brandon wanted to do that for Dad, because he was one of our biggest fans. And what's funny enough is Pile of Bones was one of his favorite songs, because he had been listening to the record since we cut it last summer. And he'd call and tell me, he's like, man, I love this song. He's like, I think it's my favorite song you guys have ever done. And then for that song to end up unknowingly become a tribute to him and grief and the human expression of grief is, I was just happy we had the fortitude to carry it through, and to create something that we're proud of.
Yeah.
And we are very proud of it. So thank you for that. Thank you for that question, man. It's always a tough one, but I'm proud to talk about it.
You know, I have to say that it really it's such a moving video and song, and I give you so much respect and love for just carrying that through, and using the power of music and that love of family and friendship that you have with your cousins to find, and the guy who made the video for you guys as well, that that you had, that you decided to do that and make the film. It's an incredible story of, and for me, you as a band are a triumph through these things. You know what I mean? And music is always the thing that gets you through, and those great relationships and friendships. Have you found too that, Tyler, you guys, because I keep meeting people that become fans or have been fans, people that are really, passionate about the band. How is it when you're out there and you meet people that have been listening to the music and really get what you guys are doing, and tell you how important it is to them?
It means everything. It's really special to us. I think we have a sound that, luckily, that will have young kids, 12 years old, that are coming with mom and dad, and then we have, 20-year-olds, and we got, 50-year-olds, 70-year-olds that like lived through the heyday of rock and roll, and they'll come and tell us their stories and tell us how much our music means to us. We were in Knoxville playing a couple months ago, and a gentleman came up to me, and I'll never forget. And he had tears in his eyes, and he just told me, he said, "Please don't stop." He's like, "You have no idea how much your music means to me." And he was very kind, and he didn't tell me the reasoning behind it, or he didn't give me any preface to that. He didn't want to disturb me. He thought he was disturbing me, but actually he was giving me a gift. He's a very kind man, and we shook hands and hugged and shared a moment together, and then he went on his way. And it's those kind of interactions with people that keep you focused, and it puts a pressure on the studio a little bit, because those fans are right there with you. You think about it. You think about the pressure of, is this song good enough? Because I think about him. I think about that guy. It's almost like I'm seeking his approval now. In a way, I'm like, man, I want to make sure that I stay true to that bar that gentleman set for me in Knoxville. And we all have, me, Land, and Brandon all have hundreds of instances where people have said that, and it's just it's a weight that you carry with respect, and a weight that you carry forward with you, and you're just scared to death to let those people down. And I think it's a good thing. I'm proud of that they, that you bring it up and that you're noticing it, and then we have all these stories. I could tell you 20 of them, of people that tell us stories about how our music is being woven into their lives and how much it matters to them. And it's just an incredible honor.
Yeah.
To you got to respect it.
Oh, 100%. And I can understand how that, sets a bar, because, you really want to, you set a high bar for yourselves, but it's great. And it's part of the, and it shows in the performance too, which is amazing. Now, I know you've got a tour coming up. You got some dates set. And so tell me about, are you going to be making your way to the West Coast? Do you guys? I know there's some states in the middle of the country, but I know there are people out here who are asking.
Yeah,
and I want to know too.
We're gonna make it out, and dude, you're gonna be first on the guest list, and we're just planning all that. We have a couple touring opportunities coming up with a couple bands, maybe a band you mentioned previously. That we're going to wait to announce it, but we're going to do a couple shows with some friends, and we're planning on a fall tour, and we're planning on just trying to keep out there. So all the support from the fans, we appreciate it. Be patient. We will come and play for you, and come ready to have a good time, man.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, Tyler. It really is. It's just love the band, love seeing you guys do what you do, and it's amazing. Here we are. It's we're 4 albums in now, man, and does it blow your mind? Sometimes you're like, wow, we're already on our 4th record. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's proud to. I always said I wanted to be a box set band, and that's my goal was 10 records. So I'm not quite halfway there, but man, it's been quite the journey so far. We can do another podcast sometime, and I'll just tell you some fun stories of just adventures we've been on. And this love of music and love of this rock and roll has just sent us on so many adventures that I'm just happy to be a part of it.
That's amazing. So and I need to ask you, when push comes to shove, what are some of your favorite records of all time? What are some of those albums that for you are like,
Exile Main Street is an OG. I mean, the Beatles' White Album is pretty unbelievable. Or any early CCR is very formative to me. And then Trace Hombres, ZZ Top, very, very formative. Those were very, I had just gotten a guitar and an amp. I was just learning who I was on the guitar, and trying to learn how to play Born on the Bayou, and trying to learn how to play LaGrange. Those were very formative moments. And then, God, I know Creed's back, and I'm just going to shamelessly say that the first couple Creed records were so formative for like me, Brandon, and Landon. I mean, we worshipped those records. Like
Yeah.
My Own Prison and Human Clay were just
Yeah.
mind altering. So those, and then like I said before, all the early White Stripes, all the early Black Keys, all the early Kings of Leon, that whole era of that grungy alt rock, that's going to be our teenage years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like those are all very, very formative. I think Aha Shake Heartbreak's one of my favorite records of all time. I would put it up there with CCR, um, and then when we moved to Nashville, our friends started getting us more into like alt country, and so the early Sturgill Simpson records like were very formative, not necessarily to draw like on Goodbye June's music, but the songwriting of those records were so cool and unique. And to me, I didn't listen to a ton of classic country. I knew kind of the hits of Waylon and Conway Twitty and like that. That was like more my grandparents' music, but Sturgill drawing on those inspirations, and he made it in a new way that I could appreciate. So I think all of those records, like meta modern sounds in country music by Sturgill, I mean, all of those were very formative records for me, and I mean, I still listen to them today.
Yeah, they're great. And you mentioned Creed. Those guys, I just was working on the cruise with them, 2 cruises in a row, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
fastest
yeah,
selling cruises in the history of that company, 6 Man, because people were so
yeah,
excited. They're back and bigger than ever. And man, it was just so
yeah.
great to see those guys up there. And when they did My Own Prison, it was an emotional moment because I remember being with those guys and talking to them backstage when I got my friend engaged on stage at a Van Halen concert. They were opening at Madison Square Garden when My Own Prison came out, and I love that song. Plus,
Oh wow.
talk about Triumph. Scott is doing so well right now, and I love seeing him and Mark and the guys getting along and just making music
Yeah,
together again. So it was a great thing,
yeah,
And Exile, man, you're talking about, and the White Album. It's like they're great because they have more, And there's something
right.
about
Yeah,
Exile,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It
yeah,
doubles, you know.
yeah.
But it's true, I just I love all that stuff, and I like that you take from all those different places, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have to. When you guys come through L.A., we're gonna have to have you guys in, and then have you guys tell some funny road stories and more about some of the experiences that you had too.
Yes, please, dude, please. We got plenty. We were part of a drug bust in the Netherlands. We
Oh, tell
got,
me about you.
I mean,
You
just
gotta give me that. Then we're gonna do like before you head out. You gotta tell me
okay,
about
all right.
because
Well,
this.
I mean, okay, we're on a shoestring budget. It's early in our career. We had just it was actually right before we released Magic Valley. It was before all that. It was a couple years before that. And we were touring Europe, and so we get to the Netherlands, and our tour manager says, "Hey, the promoter wants you guys to stay with him." And I'm going to try to do abbreviated version story. So this promoter also had a a mushroom shop, and like these substances are legal over there, right?
Yeah,
So we were staying above his head shop and then his personal home, and he had all these drugs and like but it's all legal over there, right? So it felt a little odd to us coming from the United States, but it's all cool. Well, we get in there that night. The next morning, the Netherlands equivalent to the FBI raids his head shop and his personal home, and apparently, reading the news stories that came out later, they had been staking him out for a long time in suspicion of selling substances that weren't legal in the Netherlands, right? So this has been this long sting operation on this gentleman, and from our perspective, he was just a promoter. He just bought our band to come in and play a show at his shop, and we didn't know any better.
you're
So we
grateful
booked it.
for it, right? Yeah, and you were like,
I
hey,
was great. I was grateful for it. And he was kind. He's like, "Hey, you can stay in my home. You can, sleep on the couch, all that." And so the story is we get in, they barely speak English. They detain all of us. And what's funny looking back is we were the catalyst that resulted in the sting, because what happened was a bunch of hairy dudes in a van all of a sudden come up and spending all this time with their target, and we were the catalyst that told them, like, that made them made the decision to bust this guy, because they thought we were drug dealers, or they thought we were part of his drug ring or something. And so
Yeah.
it was wild, dude. Like they detained us, and then they figured out really quickly that we were just a band coming through to play the show. And so luckily there's, after maybe I think 6 to 8 hours we were detained, they let us go. The show was canceled, all that stuff, and then we went on to the next tour stop. But dude, I'm telling you, it was. I was taking a shower, and I hear this stranger call up from below, because I was on the third floor, and they said, "Hey, get down here right now. You're under arrest." And I was like, I thought it was my cousins. I was like, "Yeah, bro, you're under arrest. Screw off, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I go down in my towel, and I see 10 agents with bulletproof vests on and a drug dog down in the bottom of the shop, and I'm naked with the towel on, and I'm like, "Oh, you guys are serious. You guys are for realsies. You guys are for realsies." Okay. I was like, "I'm gonna go," and they're like, "Get down here." So I'm like sitting down there with my towel on, and like, not gonna, I don't want to get too graphic, but the drug dog, they got a certain technique of where they kind of punch you down below, and they lift their snout up to make sure you're not hiding any drugs in your groin region. And I'll just say that was a very traumatic moment for me. I'll never forget the feeling of that drug dog giving me the old 1-2 in the private region with a towel on in front of 10 agents. And dude, it's just wild. So anyway, they let us get dressed, and then, like I said, they detained us for a little bit, and then we carried on with tour. And then, the next night we were playing rock and roll again.
I'm glad you were. I'm glad you guys. That's got to be crazy, man. When you got a dog, an animal with, I mean, a lot of them go in that direction anyway because they're checking you out. But man, when you have nothing but a towel on, that's like, oh man,
Yeah, it was
in a foreign country,
little,
you know what I mean, where you can barely, speak the language too.
Yeah.
So, but that's a great story, and I'm sure there's more great ones, which we're gonna touch on when we do this again. But Tyler, man, I loved having you on, and thanks so much for doing this. I just wanted to say it's great to have you guys on the countdown. Great to have a new album out with Deep Into Trouble, and I appreciate you taking the time out. And I'll be seeing you soon when you guys tour in the fall. All right?
Yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you, and we love the community that you guys are building, and thank you for caring about rock and roll. And we'll see y'all out there. We love you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. Tyler Baker, everybody. Goodbye, June. Great band. You've got to check out all their albums, all right? All 4 of those records are fantastic. And hopefully you'll be seeing them on the road very soon. I'm sure you will be. If you get a chance, you got to go check them out if you love rock and roll. I'm Matt Pinfield. It's KLOS New and Approved. Thanks for watching and listening.